What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Proclamation Podcast. My name is Will Anderson. I'm going to be hosting today in place of Luke Nolan, and I'm here with the lovely, fabulous, ever so delectable Austin Fruci. Austin,
Hello.
say hey to the people.
Hey, people.
Hey, people, just like that. You've probably seen Austin around here. He's a barista at Foursquare. He also is very involved with the media team here. He helps oversee the Instagram, answering questions from customers. He's kind of the devout leader, you could say,
Classic.
of the media group. But yeah, you like that? Read his shirt. Read his shirt. I didn't even mean to do that, actually, by the way.
That's so funny.
I'm not that
That's
coordinated.
just a straight up Will move. So I kind of expected it.
The other day, so I was getting gas and I gave him a 20 and he like held it up to see if it was counterfeit. And I told him, I was like, hey, I appreciate that you think that I'm that coordinated to counterfeit a bill that will actually work.
20s.
I cannot.
Yeah.
I know. It's like, I would not sell myself short with a 20.
No.
At least a 50.
If you're going to counterfeit bills, like, go out,
Yeah, for sure.
Or 20 is the best one to do because then nobody thinks about it.
Yeah, like a 1 is like 2, like a 5 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hundreds, everyone's like,
2 is
sure.
definitely counterfeiting.
Absolutely.
Like if you're pulling 2s, that's like, bro, come on.
Come on, dude.
You could have just picked up 2 1s,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, what do you guys do with your hands in this thing? I don't know what to do with my
You
hands.
don't.
Sick.
You just try and forget that they're there.
Because that's pretty hard.
I did one of these one point, and I was like, that's a little weird. The double interlock.
That's
under
weird
the
for
thigh.
me, and I'm not even on
Yeah,
that side
you're not
of the
even
camera.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah. So,
that's tough.
anyways, but Austin, you have a ring on your finger,
I do.
on your
Speaking
left
of
hand.
hands.
Yeah. Speaking of hands, show that baby off. Now you know what to do with them. Austin is newly married.
Newly.
Very
Very
newly.
newly.
Like extremely
Jeez.
new. Not yesterday new, but new. What's that like?
It's been on 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah, in February.
Yeah.
It's been great. Absolutely awesome. Would recommend if you're trying to get married. I would say it's a positive experience.
Pop that question.
Pop it. If you're thinking about it, do it.
What was the most surprising thing that you found out about your wife when you moved in?
I knew my wife pretty well before kind of like getting married. I also recommend that. Probably know the person
Very
pretty
helpful.
well. Yeah.
Huge.
Um,
Especially in the beginning stages.
Not a whole lot of like surprises. I mean, granted, it's only been 3 months.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
like, who knows?
Maybe.
6 months gonna roll around back. Wow.
Let's do another podcast.
Yeah. See you in 6 months. No.
Yeah.
But there's one habit that like I knew about, but I didn't really know how much it would get me. And it is she likes to get a glass of water, drink half of it, leave the glass on any surface. It could be a dresser, countertop, table, go away for an hour, come back, new glass, full cup of water, half of that, leave it on a countertop, goes away for another hour, new glass. So we just have lots of glasses with a lot of half full or half empty waters everywhere.
And to really milk this one, I'm going to say you kind of have the more glass half empty perspective. She probably has the more half full perspective.
Absolutely. She'll
Yeah.
drink it and be like, it's still half full. I'm like, but you're drinking it.
Yeah.
Like it's half empty.
Yeah.
She's like, no.
It's good. It's good that you guys
It's
kind of
good.
have that compromise
Yeah.
that you have to work
She
towards.
also gets really mad when I drink out of her glass. But I'm like, you're going to leave half of it anyway. So like,
I mean,
that is the one thing I've noticed so far in 3 months.
word on the street is that you do go on tour, Mr. Musician.
Not now.
Not now. It's a tough time
Rip.
to tour. Rip. Yeah, sorry, that's a soft spot.
It's
but
hard to stop.
maybe if you go on tour again, you won't have to deal with all the half.
I don't
full
mind it.
glasses.
It's just like that's the only thing I can think
Yeah,
of where I was like, oh,
That's
neat.
good, dude.
Yeah.
If that's the review, that's pretty solid.
reviewing my wife.
I
5
do-
stars on Amazon.
This is the funniest thing ever. On Yelp, you have someone that'll be like, "Oh, great experience, wonderful coffee shop. I
Yeah.
love all this. 4 stars."
Yeah. Like what?
What were you looking
Like
for?
what is that
World
one
peace?
extra
Like, what
star?
was- yeah.
World peace.
Like,
Yeah, I walked into the shop and they didn't have a world peace sign up,
Dude.
so just 1 star.
brutal.
Sick.
What is in recent memory that underwhelming?
Recent
like-
memory.
Or have you ever recent memory of coffee shop experience that's underwhelming, or like an experience so bad that you almost went on Yelp?
Oh, well, I don't think I'm not a big Yelper, so I'm not like, even if someone's like, "Hey, I spat in your drink. Here you go." I'm like, okay, like I'm just not coming back here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna write about it on Yelp. Sure, they don't do that to everyone's drink,
Yeah.
but I think just an underwhelming experience. There have been coffee shops I've been to that people rave about. They're usually new. And like, it's the best. And you go and you're like, it's okay. Like, I would go. Not going to write home to mom, about it. Mom doesn't even like coffee, so it wouldn't even matter. But
Yeah. It'd have to be really good for mom
really
to go
good for
there.
mom to know. Yeah.
Is that the official test if your mom likes a
If
coffee
mom
shop?
knows. No, because she's just doing, Folgers at home. So
That's what started me. That's what started my addiction was
Folgers,
Folgers. Yeah, so I was on mission trips and there were long work days and all they had was like a little pot of Folgers they put out in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
It was like 6:30 in the morning. I'm like, I gotta wake up somehow. It's like 10-hour work days. So.
Yeah.
But once if you can like the black Folgers,
You like anything.
yeah, possibilities are endless.
Well, I don't know. Some people are like, it doesn't taste like ash. Man, I don't like it. And you're like, oh, okay.
A little weird.
But I started on Folgers, but I started as a kid. I would watch my dad drink coffee, and he would make what he called special coffee, where it was probably like not even an ounce of coffee, full of water, and then like half full of water and then half full of milk. So it was just watered milk with a hint of
Like a coffee bean.
Yeah.
It's like Starbucks.
kind of,
Yeah.
but it was weird.
Yeah.
There's like no caffeine in it, and that's how I started on coffee at the age of 7.
I was like I started with the Folgers. I wasn't that young. I was probably like 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
But then what I did, I was a total poser. So my uncle and my dad were really into specialty coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever my uncle would go to coffee shops, he would get either a macchiato or a cortado. And obviously very forward in coffee flavor.
Yeah.
That's like what I ordered. Like every shop I'd go to, I'd get a macchiato because I thought like that was the
was it. That was the thing you did.
This was the pinnacle of what I could order on the menu. Like I was now a cool customer because I ordered this.
Still kind of is.
And it was just like force feeding myself. Like luckily it was only like 2 or 3 sips because it's such a small drink. But I was such a phony.
Just
Yeah, no,
it's
really,
great.
yeah, like for real. Like I was the worst. But then I guess just one day magically, I like all these rumors of there being notes of like strawberry and cherry and chocolate and all that. I was like, okay, I'm starting to come around.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get it.
Starting to get it.
I feel like I'm in the fake stage with whiskey right now.
Fair enough. I think everyone starts in the fake stage of anything.
You
Whether it's
have to.
beer, wine,
Yeah.
coffee, whiskey. Like everyone's like, it's good. And they're like, yeah, do you taste the vanilla? And you're like, no.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I started in that for sure. I would force feed myself like espresso to like prove to myself that I liked coffee. Which in that regard, like, do people really like coffee then? If they're just forcing themselves to like it?
I know. It is even I question that sometimes to myself.
Yeah. Did I just force myself to
I'm
like
like,
this?
am I really enjoying this like slap in the face right now?
Yeah.
At 7 a.m?
You do in like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
when you're,
yeah. When it hits.
wide awake.
Exactly.
But yeah, I see it on the and like the other side of the bar now as like an employee. Like I'll look at people and they're like, "Can I get a Gibraltar?" And they're like, "Sure," and make them Gibraltar, and you like see them like wince a little bit, and they're like, oh, "It's good." I'm like, sick, dude.
Thanks. Glad you like it.
Later.
Thanks for coming.
But yeah, that's true of anything. I was like that with whiskey.
Yeah.
I was very much like, oh man, like hand sanitizer. Yup.
That like weird peatiness. It's
Yeah.
an interesting flavor. What's the biggest, like I'm sure when you were touring you had to make sacrifices for coffee.
Actually, no.
No?
I mean, there was a couple spots where it was like, I only got like the Bucks or like diner coffee. But for the most part, like every stop we had on tour had pretty good coffee. I mean, like when you tour, you pretty much just do a lot of like bigger cities. So it's like when you're in Brooklyn, like you can find a decent coffee shop somewhere. When you're in Chicago, you can find a decent coffee shop. So yeah, I didn't have to make too many sacrifices. I think the only sacrifice I had to make in coffee was not having it. There would be times where it was like, hey, we're just so like on the clock, gotta go, where we just didn't have time to stop for coffee or anything.
Yeah. How long did it take you to adjust when you were on the road to like, okay, this is life now?
This is life.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved it right from the start.
Okay.
People who tour, it's either like you love it or you hate it. There's no in between. There's like, I got used to it. And I was really worried I was going to hate it. I also went on tour with people I had never met in my life. There's a band called Hollow Coast from Australia. And so they're all Australian guys. And they got in contact with me through another friend I do audio for. And they're like, hey, do you want to like mix front of house for our tour? And I was like, sure, sounds good. But I had never met them. So I flew from Sac to Washington, D.C., which is where the tour started. Never meeting these guys and like just getting to know them. So that was a little like, where it's like, man, what if I hate it and I'm with people I don't know, you know? But I loved it. It was awesome. I would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's awesome, dude. It's like, I mean, you get kind of, it's almost like moving in with new roommates.
Seriously.
But you don't have a house.
Yeah. And
So
you got to figure out
it's
how
like a
everyone's
van.
like.
Yeah. But you're like also in a van, so everyone's already on edge.
Yeah. You're in a van, in the
Yeah.
backseat of a van on like a 6-hour road trip. And you're like, man, this kind of sucks. But
Yeah. It is kind of like that. It's easy to question your existence in those moments.
Mhm.
Like, am I really here right now?
Do I actually enjoy what I'm doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I did. It was honestly probably one of the best experiences of my life. Like traveling from Washington, D.C., all the way through Canada, all the way through the Midwest, all the way up the West Coast. So basically a full North American tour. And seeing the country that I live in, like firsthand from a van window. It was tight.
Did that work relationship with that group, has it stayed since tour, or have
Yeah.
you stopped working with
I
them?
mean, it's hard to like keep in contact since they're like they're in the future, you know, different time zone. But like we still hit each other up on like Instagram and stuff, post photos from that tour. I was in talks with them about doing another like Canada run and like Brazil trip and everything, but COVID hit. Like we were talking about it and then just hit, so sucked.
Yeah.
But they're all great guys.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah, it was really fun to just get to know people. It's funny, they actually know a lot about American politics in just America, and they're like not even from here. They knew almost as much or more than I did, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes in America we get in this like thought, you get in this like bubble of, well, we're America, so it's like, what do we, which sounds terrible, but
Yeah.
it's like just as a excuse for our laziness.
Absolutely.
But you know, there's always excuses for that.
Mm-hmm.
When you like are in a new creative space with these guys, obviously something that's on like, it's easy to be inspired when you're traveling through these like world-class cities like DC and New York City and stuff like that. But what is it like stepping into a new space with like artists you have not worked with before? Like you're saying, you really had no relationship with them.
It definitely takes a lot of professionalism on both ends. Doing music with your friends is one thing. Doing music with people you've never met is another. So it's like with your friends, you have that relationship where you can challenge each other and be like, no, I don't think this sounds good, you know? But when you are strictly like client relationship kind of thing, that, I mean, it bloomed into a friendship for sure. But like in the beginning when it's like, hey, I don't know you, you don't know me, we don't know how each other work, like let's figure this out. For me, I take the approach of like they're the client and I got to make them happy. So their style of music and their sound is a lot different than what I typically mix, but they're really stoked on the mix because I just try to cater to what they wanted. So they'd be like, hey, can you have these instruments more forward, these instruments more tucked back, and like our vocals to sound this way and everything. And I just do my best to make it sound the way they want it. And yeah, so you kind of have to put away your like personal, like, well, I don't like that sound or I don't think that sounds good. And you have to like bring in your like, hey, like you want this. It's kind of like graphic design, right? Like if someone, like if you make a graphic, you're like, this looks sick. And you send it to the client and they go, hey, I hate everything about it. Can you change it? You either have to change it or you just lose the client. So
yeah. Is that something that you struggled with? I mean, I'm sure you still struggle with it, but like being able to put Austin Fruci to the side and like client first or success with the business partner first.
I think in the beginning when I was like really kind of new in the music industry and stuff, it was like everything only sounds good one way. That's my way, you know? But just listening to music, like if you listen to music, so many different genres have so many different sounds, and they're all really good within their genre, right? You can have bad and good sounds within a specific genre. So like a really good rock sound is going to sound really bad in a folk band, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So you just have to really like cater to the sound and the music that they do. And once you put it in that perspective, it's easy to put yourself aside and like your music taste.
Yeah, and I definitely think too, it's like just when you have that end goal in mind
Yeah.
of like, okay, this is where the project's going. And if you can at least be in somewhat, like you're saying, a professional relationship of like, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish. There's going to be hiccups, but let's still focus on getting here.
And something I learned was like, you can find, no matter what kind of music you're into, you can listen to any genre and find an artist within that genre that you like. Like people are like, oh, I hate country music or I hate metal or whatever. You can probably find an artist within that genre and a sound that you're like, oh, that's sick. So when you put in that perspective and you're like, okay, I might not like folk or whatever. I'm going to listen to a ton of folk until I find an artist or a sound like, oh, I'm really inspired by that. And then you can apply it to like whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So
that's kind of the cool thing about coffee as well, is it's like there's so many opportunities, especially in Sacramento. Like Sacramento is a great coffee city, and it's kind of
better than a lot of people think.
Than a lot of people give it credit for.
100%.
Like you can go downtown and I mean within 15-20 minutes there's 5 to 10 really, really high quality shops.
Oh yeah. After touring, like I realized, I'm like, oh my gosh, how lucky am I to be in Sac to have any like like a 3-block radius of amazing coffee, you know? In certain cities, it was like, oh, like there's this one really cool coffee shop 20 minutes down the road, and that's kind of it for the next hour. You're like, oh, sick. And those were cities like Toronto, like big cities, you know?
Yeah.
So
it is weird how certain industries just get into like pockets in places. Like there's Sacramento. I mean, some of it I know is attributed to all the traffic through the capital. Like there's a lot of good cuisine downtown. A lot of people are taking lunch breaks, whatever it is, having important meetings and that. But it's like you just have random pockets. Like who would think that Sacramento, freaking California, would have one
the
of
coffee
best
scene?
Yeah, for real.
I mean, it's not too far out of the Bay Area. I like Sacramento because it's like it's close to the Bay Area, which coffee's huge there, and it's close enough to like LA and Southern California where coffee's also super huge. So it just makes sense how it just converges.
Yeah, Sacramento is kind of in a weird like purgatory between Tahoe and the Bay. It's just like unsure.
Literally, people are like, what is Sacramento? It's the valley, I guess, but it's like
there's 80.
There's 80.
80 goes through it.
Yeah.
That's like right.
I forget constantly that I live in the capital of California.
I know. It's the most underwhelming capital
of all time.
It's like Michael Jordan's son. You know? Like when he didn't even play. It's not even I think he played in college maybe, but it's like, come on.
Did he?
Yeah.
He had a son?
Did he? And people are like, oh, it's most central. I'm like, it's not. Like, kind of.
I guess.
I mean, you're not going to do it in Fresno, so I get it.
Yeah, or Stockton.
Yeah. But
but it's so like, dude, there are so many times I drive through the capital, Midtown, and I forget like, oh yeah, that's like where like
that's a big deal.
That's like where like really important people fly to like have important meetings about world affairs.
Yeah,
like,
And I'm just walking on the
lawn. And I'm just walking on the lawn,
hanging out, taking some whatever. People
like
are taking prom
when
photos.
People talk about like, yeah, Trump visited or like Biden visited or whoever the president is like. Visited the capital of California, I never think like, oh, that's my backyard.
Oh yeah. It's like, oh, I could go see him.
I could go like be like, oh hey. No, not once.
Maybe. Do you think maybe one day Sacramento will be more known for their coffee than the capital? Probably not. Probably never.
No.
But maybe.
Maybe
if they move the capital.
They're not even known for the capital. So.
And even that they suck.
Yeah. So it's a tough gig for Sacramento.
No shade on the 916. We love it here. You didn't grow up here though.
I did not. I grew up in Redding, California,
which is like
not the capital.
Not the capital.
No, Redding is very much. There's only two or three types of people that live in Redding.
Okay.
There's people that live in Redding that call it Redden. I live in Redden.
Redden.
Yeah, Red. There's no G at the end. It's just Redden. And those people usually were born and raised in Redding, never left. Their granddad lived in Reading. Their dad lived in Reading. They owned the same car dealer that their uncle owned in Reading. And they call it Redding. That should tell you enough about who they are. After that, there are an insane amount of like trendy people and like hipster people because of like Bethel Church, is in Reading for people that know of Bethel Church. But it's like a lot of people either live their whole entire lives in Reading, or they are just visiting for this church, and that's it. And there's no in between.
It's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. So for me, I was like the abnormally that like people were like, oh, you just moved. Like I was in second grade. So like they'd be like, oh, like you moved. Like, are your parents going to Bethel Church? And I was like, no, Dad got work here. Like,
yeah,
that's about it. And so Reading is a really cool place. If you like outdoors, it's the best.
Yeah, it's that "Dad got work here" line is a classic in my upbringing too.
Dad got work here.
Found myself
Pastor's kid, am I right?
Yeah, the most interesting one I found myself in was Kalispell, Montana, which is about 25 minutes outside of Glacier National Park. That's like the reference to people, because Kalispell is like 25,000 people. It's not. Unless you've lived in Montana, you're not really gonna know what it is. But there's so I spent some time growing up in Missouri too. I would say there's two Missourians. There's the people that say Missouri.
Missouri.
There's the people that say Missouri. And then there's the misery, the true misery.
The absolute misery.
Absolute people who think it's just terrible. But I mean,
were you in that camp?
No, I live in St. Louis, so it's a city. It's a little bit different. It's like when you live in Reading, it's nothing like San Francisco, obviously. So it's like,
no, going to the city in Reading was Sacramento.
Yeah.
We're going to the city.
Rich is like, okay, you guys got a basketball team. And like a couple buildings over 20 stories.
I forget that, dude.
Yeah.
We have a national basketball team.
Dude, not to keep throwing shit on Sacramento, but the skyline is really underwhelming.
Underwhelming. Basketball team sucks.
Like when a bridge that's not the Golden Gate
or the
Brooklyn Bridge is the biggest thing in your city. It's like,
come on, dude. That's tough.
Like, it lifts up in the middle. That is pretty sweet.
It does.
Let the record show.
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that?
No.
Okay, anyways. Probably haven't tried to cross it when it's up.
Sorry, I haven't brushed up on my history of Sacramento lessons here yet. So.
Yeah.
Also, like founding place, like the Gold Rush.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Which is also just crazy in general that people used to dig through dirt so that they could eat dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But how underwhelming Sacramento is like when I was on tour, we had 2 stops in California, LA, San Francisco. And I was like, oh, have you guys ever played Sacramento? And they're like, where's that? Yep.
Yeah, Sacramento's kind of like opening up a county fair next to Disney World. You know?
Absolutely.
It's like, oh, this is a good idea. Like, it's fun for the locals.
Was it?
You know?
Yeah.
It's like never profitable.
No.
Just never in the black.
Don't get me wrong. I love Sacramento. I live here.
Yeah, like I'm clearly not running away anytime soon. So.
I actually love it because it's.
I say I live in Roseville. Like if you're from Sacramento, I live in Roseville.
Yeah, but when
you're from anywhere but Sacramento, I live in Sacramento.
Yeah, like when people are like, "Where are you from?" and you say Roseville and they don't live in California, they're like, "Where's the Sacramento?" Oh, it's sick. Is that the capital?
Yeah, is that the capital?
Yeah, it is.
Easy segue in that conversation. Nothing to talk about. Oh, it's the capital.
Yeah.
As if I have any interest in California politics.
Did you know that like Kim Kardashian and Kanye West and those guys, like they would travel to the Capitol to hang out with politicians?
That's
never seen them in my life.
Yeah.
They didn't stop at Foursquare once.
No. It would be a little out of the way.
30 minutes.
We did have a band stop in here one time that was on tour.
Oh, really?
Sin Kane. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Currently on tour.
Not currently.
Just
sorry.
underground dive bars.
About a year and a half. It was like they played at Harlow's. I think they were coming from Harlow's, so they were playing some decent venues. But it was like the coolest. This was the coolest experience for me.
Mm-hmm.
So Voodoo by D'Angelo was on. You'll appreciate that. And the frontman like came in and he's like, "Oh, who's DJing?" And I had like my moment in the hot sun. It's like, "Oh, me DJing."
The steam one, like has the steam come off. Yeah.
Exactly. It was like that kind of moment, you know? But yeah, we just gotta like rap about music, and it was literally the best thing. And I think that at like working here at Foursquare, that is the best part of just the crowd that comes in here and like the characters I've met, and I mean that in the best way.
And how diverse and different the crowd is. There are so many people that I'm like, these people would never run in the same circles.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
But they're at the same coffee shop right now.
Totally. It is interesting. That is cool about coffee is it does not discriminate. Like anyone wants a warm cup of coffee in the morning. Like it's not, you get people coming in all parts of their day. Like
I think that's what's cool about Foursquare is like, I'm sure you've experienced like going to like a third wave shop somewhere and you ordering something and you get like a macchiato or a Gibraltar or whatever. And they go, okay, cool, sounds good. And the person behind you gets like a vanilla latte and they're like, oh, I guess, and you're like, oof, like that's tough. Like, I mean, it's the pretentiousness and like the stereotype of third wave coffee. But that's what's the cool thing about Foursquare is we don't carry that. Like, we're not like, oh, you're getting a white mocha, man, have you tasted our espresso? Like it's not like that. It's, we want to cater to whoever wants whatever they want, and so that's what I think why we have such a diverse crowd is we have the people that are like, can I just get a straight shot of espresso? And then we also have the people that are like, can I get a white mocha with vanilla added? And you're like, sure, whatever.
Like, I'll whip it up. I'll whip you up.
I'll whip it up. Although we don't have whipped cream, so we can't whip
Yeah, we don't have whipped cream.
That's where the line is drawn.
We don't have whipped cream. No. Do I put whipped cream on my hot chocolate at home? Yes, 100%.
You do?
I actually do, yeah.
It's tough.
It's not tough. It's great. It's so good. It's the best thing. It's so good.
I hope that might pick that up.
Oh, 100%. There's no way it didn't.
No way.
No way. The thing that I find interesting is that if, like, I don't know why when people get to a certain level of understanding of something, that there becomes this, like, exclusivity to it. It's the same. I play a lot of golf, as you know, and
it's got the green jacket on.
Golf is Gusta one day, maybe. But it's the same thing. It's like, it's so stuffy. And it's like, if you really cared about this thing and loved it, you would want to share it with people.
Absolutely. There's only two courses.
Yeah.
There's the people that are like really stuffy at the course. You're like, ooh, I saw you hitting the sand twice today. And then there's then there's the courses that are like just thrashed.
Yeah.
Because anyone walks onto it in shorts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's brutal. And that's like, I mean, that's kind of how like third wave coffee has become, it's like the elite country club that just went public.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we do have the macchiatos in here. We do have the absolute sticks that play every day.
Yeah.
But then we also got like the beginners.
Yeah.
The amateurs are coming. And we got to love the amateurs.
We got to love on them.
We were all there.
Maybe get them some golf lessons.
Maybe get them some lessons.
First one's on the house.
First coffee's on the house. First lessons on the house.
Yeah, and then we'll figure it out from there,
Yeah, it's like you got to.
We should start doing that. We should start doing tastings. Yeah. Bring people in, be like, hey, let's give you a coffee lesson.
Dude, it's the allegory of the cave. We just got to bring them. Just got to bring them to the light.
Bring them to the light.
Bring them to the light.
But what about the people who love white mochas?
What about the people who are stuck in darkness?
That's savage. We love you guys. I love you guys.
I literally, dude, the thing that I tell people, like, sometimes I feel a customer getting uncomfortable when there's like, I'm pouring vanilla syrup, like adding extra syrup in there. Mm-hmm. And I always tell them, I'm just like, you got to drink it. Like, I'm not mad. Like, this isn't how I make my coffee, but that's fine. Like,
it's your drink.
Different stuff gets us up in the morning,
I think Tanner said that today where like someone came in and they were like, can I get a cold brew? And then he's like, sure. He's like, oh, and some warm milk on top. And he was like, you want me to steam some milk and put it on top of your cold brew? And she's like, I know, it's weird. And he's like, it's your drink, whatever you want. Like,
yeah,
weirdo.
Oh my gosh,
that is weird. That's kind of where the line's.
There's certain. It's just like sometimes someone orders a drink so obscure that you're not sure if they know what they're getting into. Like I got a matcha with an ad shot one time.
I've seen that before. It's weird.
It's like if you like a bitter drink, it's fine.
I've tasted it. My brain blows up. It's weird.
Which is like, but it's okay. They'll live. They'll live. But I'm just always like, we do know we're all on the same page of what is about to happen in this drink, right?
Which matcha has like a ton of caffeine in it. Yeah, already. So adding a shot is just going to blow your heart up.
Although matcha health tip number 1 of the day, it does kind of give that like smooth energy. It's not like energy
Yeah.
drink energy where it's like overwhelming and you get jittery. I do like that about matcha. Like if
Yeah.
I've had too much coffee throughout the day.
Yerba mate does that too.
Yerba, yes, truly.
Yerba mate is my favorite tea of all time.
Okay, the brand or just the tea itself?
Yerba mate is a tea.
I
by
know,
itself.
but do you drink the brand like yerba mate? You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh,
ice cans.
in the cans? No, I just drink straight like loose leaf yerba mate.
Fair. When you go into a coffee shop, do you expect them to have good tea?
No, because I'm not going into a tea shop. I expect them to have good
But there's
coffee.
not like, you know what I'm saying though? There's
Yeah.
not tea shops. Like there's okay.
How about
That's
I-
rude.
I
All
ex-
the tea shops are really pissed at
I
me
ex-
right now.
I expect coffee shops to have tea. I don't expect them to have amazing tea.
Next question: the pastries.
Ooh, if you're a coffee shop and don't have good pastries, like what are you doing?
Exactly.
Get out of the game. Like,
Exactly.
figure it out.
Yeah. It's
And don't try to mask it with like we have sandwiches. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Like give me a scone with my coffee, and it better be good.
It's facts.
Facts.
That's facts. I got nothing left to say on that. That's facts.
That is facts.
Although I think that we don't have enough honest. Like there are a lot of 5-star Yelp reviews.
Mhm.
Every once in a while, we need some more 1-star Yelp reviews. Jerry Seinfeld has a joke about this. He says basically like that's the reason restaurants close. Like waiter comes around, asks, how's the food?
Yeah.
How's the food? No one gives the honest opinion. It sucks. No one ever tells them to fix it.
Yeah.
Just gonna keep serving the crappy food. They shut down one day.
Yeah.
So it's like, we need a little
nudge.
we need a little matcha with an ad shot every once in a while,
An occasional.
Yeah.
Occasional one.
Yeah.
One that just kind of punches you in the gut and you're just like, oh, I'll fix that.
Okay.
Lay
Do
it
you
on
ever do you ever it's not gonna be that heavy, don't worry.
Oh.
Do you ever yes, you have, obviously, but sometimes when you go into a shop and like you have that expectation of a great cup because like you see that they have an Ethiopian and then it's not what you expected it to be.
Yeah.
How do you handle yourself in that moment? It's tough. I know.
Tough question. So I walk into a coffee shop. They have an Ethiopian. I taste it. It's not what I wanted it or expected it to be. That's the question. What do I do?
Yeah.
It
It's
depends.
a bad question, I know.
If it's my first time in the shop, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and be like, I'll come back again, try it. If it's like, you're 0 for 2, I'm a baseball player,
Yeah.
3-strike rule, right? If you're 0
Yeah.
for 2, that's tough. If I come back a third time and I get like something else and that's tough, it's like, okay, you got to figure this out. But if it's like I've been in like a couple times and it's typically good and I just like had a cup of coffee, it's like, it tasted a little weird. That's usually either going to be barista error or just like weird batch. And that's fine. We all have those. Foursquare has those. I've had plenty of barista errors where I've handed things to people and they're like, this is weird. And I'm like, that's probably because I suck. But here you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that is one thing about coffee is it's really easy, but it's really difficult at the same time.
it's really easy to mess up,
Very easy to mess up. And so
which is why it sketches me out when people are like, I got my home espresso machine. And I'm like, good luck. I barely can do it here.
it is like that is always a hard thing to tell people. And they're like people ask me a lot, oh, I'm going to get a home setup, like blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get this. And it's like, it's going to be expensive if you're going to do it right. Because in my experience,
It will be.
it can only be so good if you're going to get the cheap stuff.
Yeah.
Like you're naturally limiting yourself. And so I've seen so many faces turn down
Mm-hmm.
from a grin when they're like, how much is it? And
How
I'm like,
much?
well, the grinder is like a couple
Yeah.
grand. And
My
then-
favorite thing is when people come in and they're like, what espresso beans do you use in your espresso? And I go, probably the bag that's labeled espresso.
Original espresso.
And they go, okay, cool. But what else would be good? I'm like, well, any of them? Like, I don't know.
That is the relativity of the question, what is good,
yeah,
is so hard to answer.
so hard. Because we've had all of our beans on single origin at one point.
Yeah.
And they're all pretty good.
Different. It's just different.
It's just different. I think people think like, oh, certain beans are only roasted for pour over or for espresso. It's like, no, you can use.
Yes and no. You know what I'm saying? Like certain roasters obviously do it with.
But you can make a batch of espresso in like batch brew.
Yeah.
And it'll probably taste like Vanguard.
And no one's gonna die.
No one's going to think twice.
Nope. Nothing's gonna
I've
explode
poured
either.
Vanguard in the espresso machine before on accident and served it. That's tough. It's tough. Did it on accident and
If
it
you
worked.
were at Foursquare that day, you can come up to me personally and I would give you a free drink because we're sorry.
We're sorry, but I did ask my lead at the time, and they're like, "It's probably fine." And I was like, "Okay," because it was like at the
That
point.
lead doesn't work here anymore.
It was at the point
Do
where
they work here?
I don't know. It was at the point where it was like it was all mixed in.
Yeah,
It was like
yeah.
we either have to throw away this whole hopper or
Yeah.
we just serve it. And so it was just it was a blend. It was a Vanguard espresso blend,
Yeah.
and it was good to some
It's like a
in
LaCroix.
vanilla lattes.
A hint of Vanguard. Just a squeeze of Vanguard.
The essence of Vanguard.
The essence of Vanguard. When actually, okay, I do want to talk about this because you did meet, well, not meet your wife you met your wife through the Sac coffee scene.
Absolutely.
Could we say that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
We
I
can say that.
technically met her at the Rock of Roosevelt Church.
Okay. Technicality.
Met.
Yeah.
But I didn't actually like know her. It was kind of like one of those like, oh, like here's a massive group of people that you're all meeting at once, and she was in that group.
Yeah.
Didn't even talk twice to her, kind of thing. She's like, oh, hey, cool, whatever. And but I would say like I officially like met her in coffee.
I've always thought about that. I have the thoughts of like, is my future spouse, have I met them yet? Isn't that such an interesting thing? Like
it is. I've definitely asked that question before I was married.
And you did.
And I did. I had met my wife while I was trying to date other people. Isn't that funny to think about?
It is funny to think about.
Like,
That's why I'm laughing.
You met the person you're gonna spend forever with, and you were still trying to date other
I
people.
know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one.
Do you guys talk about that?
No,
Okay.
we don't really think twice
I
about
wasn't.
it.
Yeah. Fair. We're mature.
She dated someone. I think she's either dating someone while we met or had just broken up with said person. Can't remember. And I also knew said person pretty well. They went to school with me, but I didn't know her. It was really funny.
Was that like a
Weird thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know him that well. Like we weren't like, hey, what are you doing this weekend?
Yeah,
It was just like,
that is helpful.
yeah,
Didn't have to interact with him.
didn't
all
have
the
to
time.
interact.
Yeah.
He's married now, so it all worked out. She's married. He's married. I'm married. We're all married.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
A lovely thing.
Lovely thing. Marriage.
Yes, it is. You know what else is a lovely thing?
Tell me.
Getting to play music in a coffee shop.
It is.
Dude, what is your favorite? Like,
Go to?
Yeah.
What's the vibe?
Open. It's about 7:30. Not very busy today.
Just kind of
It's
slow.
a slow Wednesday, let's say.
Slow Wednesday. You kind of woke up early. It's cold.
Kind of woke up early. It's cold.
I'm gonna say like instant go to for me is gonna be like Bon Iver.
Classic.
It's
That's just classic.
It's a classic. Like
oh, this is a coffee shop.
it's a coffee shop. It's chill, but it's like edgy enough to be like, oh, it's still cool.
That's like when I hear Bon Iver, it's like, this is a coffee shop
Yeah.
for sure.
James Blake's a good go to.
Very coffee shop.
Very coffee shop. James Vincent McMorrow.
Also very coffee
That's
shop.
all like my morning playlist kind of
Yeah.
vibes. But I used to ask this question to Nate Haynes, one of our coworkers. He we'd come in together, like, all right, what's the vibe? Are we trying to do like downtown Bay Area vibes? Or are we trying to do like midtown LA vibes? You know, like what's the music scene we're going for? If it was like downtown Bay Area vibes, we're playing, you know, like 90s hip hop and like rap and stuff like that. If it's like LA vibes, it was like pop,
bedroom
like
pop.
like Laney, yeah, all that stuff. So
Like stuff that makes you go like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
just like that. So
Dude, I think that I'm biased to hip hop, but I think it's the best coffee shop music.
it is. It really is. It really is. I mean, pop.
You want to expand upon that
Let's
for
expand.
the people a
Yeah,
little bit more?
let's expand. Let's say it loud for the people in the back. You know.
Yeah.
So
One time for you, mine one time, to quote the Nasty Nas. Okay, go ahead.
are we just gonna quote hip hop for the rest of the
Maybe.
podcast?
No, maybe.
Oh, okay. But it's the best because it is, you could have a wide variety of hip hop to where it is chill enough to like, you walk in at 7:30, you're just waking up, you're not like blown in your face by like music, but it's like, oh, there's a beat, there's a groove, I'm just vibing, get my coffee. But it's also upbeat enough to where when it's busy with a line out the door, you're like feeling good.
Yeah, definitely. It keeps the energy.
Keeps the energy up, but like it's a perfect medium. It's not too hyped, but it's not too like downcast. Like, there's nothing worse than like working like a rush and you have like Bon Iver on in the background.
And it's like, oh, I'm really motivated to make coffee fast.
Yeah, you're not.
Like
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
literally.
It's like,
But you have a beat in the back and you're like, oh, this is tight.
hopefully not that fast. That'd be like a house song.
Yeah, it's like a
yeah, we don't need that.
We have a D'Angelo. Like D'Angelo's perfect for any vibe.
That type of falsetto is just something I want to drink my coffee to all the time.
It's legendary.
Really is legendary. What's the most legendary coffee shop you've ever been to?
Ever been to?
That's a tough question. That's like, what's your favorite album? Maybe like a off top. What are some coffee shops that stick out to you that are doing it right?
Coffee shops that are doing it right that stick out to me. Wow, that's tough. I really like Ladder Coffee in Spokane, Washington. They're doing it right. They're sick. I love Ladder a lot. They're really good. They have just expanded a ton, which is awesome. Like, good for them. They're crushing it in the middle of COVID. And they're definitely my favorite in like the Spokane, Washington area. The Mill, local Sacramento, like they're doing it right, man. I love the Mill. They're great. If I'm in Sacramento and people are like, "Do you want to get coffee?" Like the Mill's my go-to. They're really good. Other people doing it right. That's not like local. Let me think. I mean, I'm just trying to think of places I went on like tour and stuff. There's another place in Spokane called Indaba. I've been to Spokane a lot because my parents live there.
Yeah.
So it's like
classic.
Whatever. But yeah, so far that just stick right out, like Ladder in Spokane and the Mill, Sacramento. I mean, Foursquare's great, but that's like bias. So
yeah,
like,
super biased.
keep that out.
It's like so biased.
Yeah, I can't be like Foursquare's the best shop. See you tomorrow. Like,
That's just gross.
Don't want to do that.
I would never do that.
They all have different vibes. Like Cat and Cloud, right? They are located in like Santa Cruz, but they're completely different vibe than like Ladder Coffee. Like Cat and Cloud is upbeat. It's kind of like the really good version of Dutch Bros.
Yeah.
It's like upbeat.
Like a specialty. Yeah. In the best way possible.
In the best way possible. It's like upbeat, in your face. Like, what can we get you? Like, what's up, dude? All this stuff. But their coffee is really good.
Yeah.
And then Sight Glass in San Francisco is unreal. They're super good. So is James Coffee. No, not James. They're also another coffee shop that's really good too. But I'm thinking of Andy Town.
Okay. Yep.
Andy Town is doing it right in San Francisco as well. So all those places, they're all different vibes, right? So like Andy Town is like this like hole in the wall like coffee shop that people like come into. You have like someone in a beanie, like in like a dark shadow figure, like, what can I get you? You know, kind of thing. So it's just different. So it depends on what you're in the mood for.
That's cool though. Yeah. Again, there's so many places to find good coffee.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many ways to do it. I think that is like one of the most exciting things is when you get to go into a new shop. It's just like opening a present.
Yeah. What is your go-to drink testing out a new shop?
Oh, it's so difficult. I am not a, like, even when I come in here, like I switch it up a lot. Like
All the time.
Summer, I do like iced coffee. I think iced and hot is can be done equally as well. An iced Americano is always like a good.
It's a classic.
Yeah, I mean, something with not a lot of water in it. Taste how the espresso is. If it's morning, I like a cappuccino or Gibraltar maybe, or like I don't do macchiatos anymore only because I'm like I cannot pay $4 or $5
for a splash of milk in
for
your shot.
this.
Yeah,
like it's just.
Can I blow your mind though? Here's your next go-to order when you're like ordering something, right? Because when you check out a coffee shop, you're gonna get caffeinated. You're like, I'm here for the caffeine, right? Order either their drip, like batch brew, or like a pour over of the coffee that you see, and either a shot of espresso on the side or a 1-in-1.
Fair.
Because then you get the whole spectrum. The 1-in-1 is not going to add that much more caffeine, or is a shot of espresso. So it's like you can try their batch brew or their pour over stuff, because a lot of coffee shops are really known for their like amazing pour overs, but their espresso sucks, and vice versa. So you get to try it all. Batch brew, pour over setup, and their espresso. And I like to do the 1-in-1 because you taste the espresso by itself and with milk.
I respect that. I've definitely, I would say now that you're making me think a little deeper about this, a cap and a shot.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is essentially the same. It's not essentially the same thing.
No, they're different.
But you're getting the espresso with milk, without milk. I just feel like I'm usually coffee before food in the morning. So if I go to a coffee shop and I go like pour over a shot of espresso, my tummy's just yelling at me the rest of the day.
That's why you got to bring a breakfast burrito with you.
That's true. That is true.
There's nothing that hits quite as good as a breakfast burrito with coffee.
Peanut butter toast is my
really
number one coffee combo.
Well, I mean, if we're doing like specific combos, I'm an avocado toast guy then.
Avo toast?
Avo toast with my coffee.
Dude, maybe we should get some avo toast here at Foursquare.
We've tried toast.
How'd it work?
Didn't take off. We didn't really put it out. We didn't put it out. We were like, oh, we're gonna you're the worst. we were gonna be like, hey, like here's toast. But
people were like, yeah, we know what that is, dude. I'll make that at home.
No, but we never went through with it. I think Ruth had a bunch of stuff lined up and just never put it on the menu.
Yeah, and it is
it's a lot of work.
Quality control.
Do
we want to be the coffee shop that sells toast?
No.
We want to be the coffee shop that sells really good coffee.
Amen.
Exactly. So where did you start in your audio mixing career? Does that make it sound better?
A little bit.
Okay, good.
A little enunciation.
Yeah.
Where did I get started in that? A lot. So I started off as a musician, as a guitar player. Well, I started off playing violin like everyone does in 4th grade, and then I played that through high school. But then I got to a point where I started playing bass for church, and was just playing bass, was playing guitar, having fun. Realized I sucked at guitar and was better at bass naturally. Switched over to bass, and then just ran with bass for years. Loved it, and then I got to a point where I was an intern at the church for the music, and the worship director was like, the music director was like, hey, you should try doing audio. It would really help you with being a musician. I was like, okay. So I just learned basic audio, like how to plug XLR cables in, how to push faders up. It's kind of literally all it is. And then I just started learning more and more, just finding different resources, YouTubing a lot, just checking out things on how people mix. And I didn't want to mix. I wanted to be the rock star, cool guy on stage. And just one day the music director pulled me aside, my boss, and he was like, you really should do audio. Because 1, you're naturally good at it, and 2, bass players are a dime a dozen, but good audio engineers are really hard to find. So I was like, okay. So I just really started pursuing audio, fell in love with it. There's moments where I remember mixing and I lift my head up from the console and I was like, wow, I made this. It sounds unreal. And I created that, which is awesome. And just ran with it since. Eventually started doing different aspects of audio where I did monitors. So I'd do people's in-ear mixes. And then I now do broadcast engineering, which is basically studio work. And now I'm mixing records for friends and people and stuff like that. And that's really fun to mix records that get put on Spotify and people listen to it and
just keep it growing. Besides the music director, did you what other motivators did you have
to do audio?
Really pushed you in that direction?
I think career motivators did, because I was like, well, if I want to make music a career, what is easier to do that? Being a bass player or an audio engineer? And knowing that really good bass players are anyone can be a really, really good bass player if they really practice hard enough, which means there's a lot of really good bass players out there. And knowing my work ethic, I was like, I don't have the I don't have the drive to put in the 6 hours a day of bass practice to get really good. A lot of people do. So there was always gonna be someone better than me at bass. When there's also always going to be someone better than me at audio. There's always someone better than you at everything. But it was like I would rather spend that time just nerding out and like looking at different compression techniques and different mixing techniques and stuff, and realizing that really good audio engineers are far and few to come by. So they're just an easier opportunity to have a career in that because you'll get hired more for things.
Yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people neglect is the practicality of like, yeah, this is a sick job when I am on stage for that
Yeah.
hour at night.
Yeah.
But is it sick when you have to wake up at 8:30 the next day and like make beats all day basically?
Yeah,
like
seriously.
essentially, or it's
Or it's sick with like this last 2 months that I've had gigs back to back, but the next 6 months where I could not land a gig to save my life, like that sucks, you know? So with audio, it's easy to be like, okay, so I have a couple gigs this week to like go do like a dive bar show somewhere, but I also have this record I'm mixing for people as well. So there's always different ways to find work doing that. And so
yeah, and there's also too it's
while
difficult.
I work for a coffee shop.
the we talked a little bit about this earlier, but just sometimes it can be hard to have kind of like it's really easy to get discouraged when you have people critiquing your stuff, like putting your ego to the side. But there's also, you have to have the balance of being able to like trust your gut and like the thing that motivated you to even do this in the first place. And like when you aren't getting those gigs for 6 months, like
it's kind of like the 1-star thing, right? Like I only got to where I'm at with audio because I had people listen to my mixes and go, this sounds like trash.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, oh, sick. Well, tell me how to not make it sound like trash. And they do. They come alongside you and they're like, I would do this, change this, and it sounds awesome. And you're like, oh, sick. And then you just take that and run with it. So it definitely like mixing is definitely like, I'm a type 4. So like it's definitely an art where you're like, oh, someone didn't like what I created, and then you want to crawl in a hole and just never wake up again. But you know, it takes that sometimes to get you to like be better and change. So
yeah, totally. I mean, it makes a huge difference also when you have, it's very easy to create all these things in your room by yourself. But then when you really are putting them out there to be critiqued, and it's like, that's the real thing. Yeah,
it's tough.
If it sucks, tough shit. Like
it's
you
never
gotta, you gotta do
it
better.
is never easy to do that. Like it's never easy for me to like send like mixes back to like artists and be like, what do you think?
Yeah,
you know,
real.
Because they're gonna critique it. They're gonna be like, here's everything I would change, and you're like, cool. And sometimes
It's
you
like
don't take it
anything
personally.
You wouldn't change.
Yeah. Do you just want to mix it? Like you can just do it. But it's definitely good because every artist has a different perspective and different ear and stuff. Most of the time they respond back and like, this sounds awesome. I would change these things. And you're like, okay, cool, whatever.
To get into that spot where you are in a creative space, do you feel like it takes more internal or like external motivators for you to get there?
Probably internal. Like I get really motivated by listening to music. I'll be like, oh, that sounds sick. I think I know how they did that, and like go and do that. External motivators, like I'm not really good with that. When people like be like, hey, you should go do this, I'm like, I don't have to do anything. Like I'm in control of me, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty good with like internal stuff of like, I'm an internal processor. Well, I do externally process a lot, but I do a lot of like motivational processing internally. So
What was the last project you listened to that made you want to go out and create?
go out and create. Wow. I mean, that's a daily thing. Like I'm like, I listen to like New Music Friday on Spotify constantly and like finding different things, different songs. I'm like, this is sick. Like John Mark McMillan's record, the Light, Thunder and Lightning or whatever it is, or what is it called? Something with lightning.
I'm not.
Anyways, Something with lightning is really good. It's like edgy. It's older. But it's sick. It sounds unreal. D'Angelo's record, like unreal. There's like some other like pop records that are really good. That just like it all depends on the genre. Like pop stuff, that's all like kind of MIDI programmed, like on like keyboards. So I'm not really super good at that, but there's just stuff that's like I'll notice something about a record, like oh the drums sound huge on this record, or the guitars sound crazy, and like just picking that off and figuring out how to make that happen.
Do you feel like you hear bass more on stuff since that was the instrument you played?
Actually, it was really hard for me to hear bass on a lot of things for a long
Huh.
time. Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people, like, when you're like, oh, did you hear that bass line? They're like, what was that? Like, you know? But
Do you see that Bigfoot? It's kind of like that question. With the
yeah,
bass.
exactly. See that Bigfoot? Yeah. So, no, I mean, now it's easy for me because I'm like, I've trained my ear to hear that. But I kind of just listen to music as a whole. Like, I'm not like specifically looking for like, what did the guitar sound like? I just listen, and then the thing that like sticks out, I'm like, oh, that's tight.
Yeah. I've definitely had moments where I'm like, either it's in an elevator or like Target and
Mhm.
something. I'm like pulling out Shazam. I'm like, yo, this is hot.
What
Like,
is this? Yeah.
what is this?
Dude, that's Chipotle for me. Chipotle's got a heat
Chipotle's got some
playlist every
heaters.
time.
They do. They had some Tribe Called Quest on. They got some good stuff on in there for sure.
Yeah.
But that is so. Have you ever been in a spot where it's just like a weird place? Drop everything. I need to like write this down.
Chipotle. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be eating my bowl, and it's like usually like alone because I'm like on a lunch break, and then I'll be like, and then I'm just the guy in the middle of the room with their phone up like this. Like,
Totally.
what? You know?
No shame though. Absolutely no shame. It is weird how there's certain like phones became so normalized, but there's still certain like unwritten rules with the phone that you're not supposed to do.
Oh yeah.
Certain places you shouldn't be taking selfies and whatnot.
Oh yeah. Or like this move, like you have your phone like this is like, oh, I'm just texting. This is like I'm taking a photo of you.
The slight tilt.
The slight tilt.
slight
So
tilt.
it's like
Can you keep
that?
it
That's
subtle?
a no go.
That's
Yeah.
where you got to do the grandma move to record.
And even
people.
this right now, this makes you feel awkward, doesn't it?
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm not doing anything.
There's a camera right here, not uncomfortable.
Makes you feel weird.
That camera makes me feel weird.
Yeah. You don't know if I'm recording or not.
I feel weird.
Yeah.
I already feel weird.
Should I do the rest of the podcast?
No.
Like, okay.
No.
But
For me, just for me.
just for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's my story in audio and how I got started and why I love to do it. And mixing projects is fun. It's also like I'm an introvert, so I love work where I don't have to talk to people.
Yeah.
Like I love being able to like, oh, I have to spend the next 6 hours staring at my laptop editing music.
Hooray.
Into it, you know, like way into that.
That's a good thing, man. I need people, I guess.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's why coffee's great for you.
Coffee is great, man.
I go home from my coffee shop job drained.
I'm ready to fight someone after I leave the coffee shop.
Yeah, I'm not.
Like in a good way.
Oh.
Like fight for something good.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. Not like fight other people.
Not like you're just enraged,
Some
just want
days.
to punch someone.
Some days. Have you ever had all audio cut out in the middle of a show?
Oh yeah. So I I had my subs. I was mixing front of house for a like 1,200 person like worship night kind of thing, and like my subs just like the breaker that was powering them just tripped mid build. It was like da 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 da. Like
Everyone's like silent disco.
everyone's like, what the heck? But I mean, like you still heard like the mains,
Yeah.
but like all the low end that you're like, oh, this feels awesome, is just gone.
Yeah.
And I was like panicking. I was like, I blew the subs. I
Yeah.
was like, I blew them. This is bad. And I like ran to the back to like check them out, and I like found the breaker and just like flipped it. So you just hear like, like randomly, just like
Kind of amazing.
kind of
actually.
intense.
It's like, dude, who's mixing? This is sick.
This is sick.
So
Yeah.
sick.
But that same like night, like that same show or night or whatever you want to call it, like the drummer's pack, like his in-ear pack died. So like that was like I was the only audio guy, and for something that big, you typically have like a front of house guy, a monitor guy,
Yeah,
like
a
stage
few
hands.
at least.
Yeah, it was just me. I don't know
Yeah.
how that happened. It was just
Because
like
it was for a worship. It was a
Yeah,
church event. That's how
yeah.
it
So they were
happened.
just like, "Hey,
Yeah.
you got this, right?" I'm like, "I guess." Like, but and so I like the house audio guy was like, "Hey, I just bought this new pack. Should be good to go." So I assumed it was like, "Oh, sick! Like he's got new batteries in it. We're chilling." Didn't think twice about it. I was already like trying to patch the whole stage myself, so it was just that whole thing was a nightmare. But the drummer again mid build was like da 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 da. He just like gets up and walks out and was like, I was like, where's he going? Like, what the heck, you know? And he walks all the way around to front of house and goes, my pack died. And I'm like, go get some battery. Like, what do you want me to do about it? And so I like find batteries. I was like, here you go, man. And he was like, thanks. And like walks back.
Dude, that's like me with so many aspects of my life.
Yeah.
I'm just like bringing my dead battery pack to someone and I'm like, fix it.
Fix it.
Fix it.
The problem is like the band, they didn't stop as if like the drummer stopped. They were just going as hard. So the guitars are just like going super hard. No drums.
There was
What's happening?
I had a similar experience. I was playing, I played guitar in a worship band for a little bit.
Yeah.
But the song we were playing, I was basically cued in by the bass player for like a little like fill or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't, like the second the song starts, I can't hear any of the bass. And like, it's just nothing. And I'm like trying. And so of course I'm like trying to like back in the booth. I'm like up.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what to turn on.
No, he ain't there.
He's got no idea.
He's dialing something.
He doesn't know I can't hear.
No.
And so this is the same thing. So I'm just like, just the most tentative, nervous, like, hopefully I don't know if
Trying to
people
figure
can
it
hear
out.
this.
Yeah.
When am I hopping in? Fill of my entire life. But it was just a similar, like, okay, time to handle the chaos.
Yeah.
How are we going to do?
Yeah. It's nuts. There's a lot of things that people don't know, like that go on with like music.
It's like, dude, it's like pilots with planes. Like apparently engines in planes, like one of the engines will go out and that's like
a big
fairly
deal.
Well, no, it's like somewhat common though.
Oh yeah.
But they're just like but I'm never gonna know that.
No.
The cabin's never getting that information.
No.
Like,
Pilot's not like, hey, first class, just so you know, the engine's gone out. If you look to your left, you'll see smoke coming out. Like,
what's up, New York? Our subwoofers just went out. Like,
yeah, like nobody's
Austin's on it.
Yeah. like
sick.
Yeah, Pilot Gabe is just over here just like trying to screw things in, like
just whipping it. Ghost riding the whip. Oh my
literally.
gosh.
Dude, I don't even know what would happen if they like over the intercom, like, just so you know, the gas mask are gonna fall from the ceiling here. Our left engine's gone out. Don't worry though, happens all the time. Like
the thing that I am always shocked to is when pilots like how much they say I'm like, is this your first time reading through this?
Is this your first time flying, man?
Like you said this at least like 3 times today already?
Yeah.
And it's just is your captain speaking?
Like, this is your
like,
captain speaking.
It's like obviously.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Like who else would be speaking on the intercom?
To me. She's not saying anything.
No.
Gosh. There's also this is a little bit off topic, but I mean it's relevant to everyone. Sometimes when there's people in line on the airplane.
Yeah.
For the bathroom, and you're like, do I get up and wait?
Or do I wait my seat?
Do I wait in my seat? And you never know if someone else is going to get up.
Yeah.
It's
the worst.
It's such a
because it's an awkward, like, I'm going to stand by the door while I'm bouncing around and they're bouncing around in there.
That
like,
we need to make a
like, what do I do?
Vocational school that teaches things like that.
Yeah.
It's just strictly based on like,
that's what school should be.
Or like another one, like when you catch a glance of someone from across the room.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that moment?
School should be how to file taxes, how to get a job, how to get good credit, how to stand in airplanes, not the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cells.
Dude, like, I don't need to know how it works.
Yeah.
Like, it's working clearly.
It works.
It's
fine.
doing something for me.
Yeah. There's other people who went to school for that.
Yeah.
They know that.
Yeah.
I don't know that.
People are going to think I'm really stupid after they watch this.
Probably.
Wow.
People already think I'm really stupid. So it's fine.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Thanks for watching.
Is that how we're ending this, huh? Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, Noah. On a serious note, glad we could have Austin in the studio today. Austin, appreciate your time, man. We will have episodes rolling out left and right like hotcakes. You heard it here first.
I like hotcakes.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.